Every day, every sodding day, I go onto X, formerly Twitter, and pray today will be the day when members of the TQ cult, the very militant members of the trans, queer and non-binary communities, the people who are fucking it up for everyone else, I pray that today's the day they won't be spreading their increasingly bizarre ideology over social media. My friends, today is not that day. Apparently, trigender is a thing.
Okay, so I apologize for the delay, but it's Casper here, and we're going to talk about the trigender gender identity. The trigender gender identity is one where the prefix pretty much says it all. Tri meaning three.
Before we continue, a few points. Firstly, I don't know what that is. I don't know if Casper is an effeminate man, a woman who's had top surgery and is using testosterone, or something made by some mad bastard who lives in a castle. A guy in a white coat who spends his evenings laughing maniacally, screaming, "They said I was mad!" But Casper is a male name, so I'll go with he, him. Secondly, I don't know what drugs Casper is using, but clearly he's taken too many of them. Or maybe it's a different recording style. It's just, I've never thought, I'll record something for YouTube, I best get out of my skull on ketamine. And thirdly, tri means three. Thanks, Casper. I think most of us had already got there.
Meaning three. So basically, trigender people are those who have three gender identities. The most common combination would be male, female, and genderless. But that doesn't always have to be the only combination. Well, alright, thank you for watching. So next video, I'm going to discuss a more or less common known gender identity. And this one is called Hydra. So stay tuned.
So trigender, tri spelt T-R-I. If it was T-R-Y, I'd go with it, because this stuff is fucking trying. No one has three genders. The only people who can claim to have two genders, possibly, are that very rare group of people who are intersex, what we used to call hermaphrodites, who interestingly never get involved in any of this shit. Everyone has one of two genders, and not like the cult say, the trans brigade and their woke activists, that gender is assigned at birth by a doctor. No, it isn't. Gender is assigned at conception. And we all know how it happens, but let's do a quick recap. When a man and a woman, and it has to be a man and a woman, I'm not being transphobic or anything, please don't put istenisms after my name. When a man and a woman who love each other very much, if at the right time of the month, the man fires his batter cannon into the lady's pink cave of shame, that's where you get conception. And of course, as that child grows up, in particular if the child has very woke parents, it can identify as whatever it likes. Bigender, trigender, gender fluid, non-binary, whatever. But that doesn't alter reality. And more to the point, we all know it isn't true, but also the people who apply those labels to themselves. If they're being honest with themselves, they know it isn't fucking true as well. Now, a few years ago, I was much more open. I would have said there were four genders: female, male, and trans woman and trans man. But as we've seen, and the vast majority of non-binary and trans people don't want any of this shit. It's just the militant types. For every inch they're given, all they do is turn up the dial on the insanity meter. So, trigender. The idea that one person can be male, female, and genderless. Is anyone actually buying that? Because I remember a few years ago when being gender fluid, and I have to say gender fluid always sounds dirty to me. Come here, love, swallow me gender fluid. When gender fluid was a thing, you would get gender fluid people wearing badges informing all and sundry what gender they identified with at that moment in time, and expected everyone to validate them. How fucking entitled is that? But let's run with the idea that we can all be male, female and genderless. Well, there have always been effeminate men and more masculine women. And most people We float between being more masculine or more feminine or genderless, depending on the situation we're in and the people we're around. That's normal. Why this need to take everything and create an identity from it? Well, as it's trigender, here are 3 reasons I think are relevant. Number 1, community. If you identify as trigender, you get a flag and you get to be part of the LGBTQIA+ community. And for many young people, in particular straight white young people, that's important because they're taught in schools everyone who's straight and white is an oppressor. Number 2, victimhood. Being a victim is incredibly important in the modern world, but not to garner sympathy. It's more, if you have plenty of victimhood points, you can then act in a terrible way to everyone else. The wokest people in society are always the most narrow-minded and intolerant of anyone who doesn't 100% go along with their way of viewing the world. And number 3 is identity. Now, if we think back to our friend Casper, what were his social skills like? Is that someone who you would think, as he enters a room, he lights it up? People will flock to him to engage in conversation. No. And you find this a lot with people who say, my identity is, or my pronouns are, or anyone who buys into this ideology. Their identity is their label. They have no fucking personalities. Personally, I think we could stop this nonsense in one generation, although my opinion will be rather unpopular. I think we need to go back to slapping kids. I'm not advocating violence against children for the sake of it, but I was a young child in the 1980s. None of this shit would have flown back then. You see, back in the mid-80s, if a young child, a young boy, had gone to his father, "Daddy, I know I'm a boy, but sometimes I think I'm a girl and sometimes I'm neither," his father, first of all, had just blown cigarette smoke at the child, and would have then said, "No son, you're not, you're a boy." And if the child persisted, said, "No daddy, sometimes I'm a girl," the dad would have just hit him quickly. Now, Mary Poppins said a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down, and that's all well and good. But I say, giving a child a quick clip round the ear makes them learn very quickly. In Western society, we have really messed up this generation of younger people, because either they're knife-wielding maniacs, or they're these mollycoddled messes who don't know what gender they are. However, as I'm discussing gender, I'll reveal something about myself. I'm actually a monosexual. It feels so good to finally speak my truth. Monosexual is defined as someone who is only attracted to one gender, usually the opposite. So there are straight people now who refer to themselves as monosexual rather than straight, in this bizarre attempt to become part of the LGBTQIA+ community. Why? I've got gay mates. I often frequent a lesbian bar. I don't need a different fucking identity. But monosexual can also mean homosexual. So you're monosexual if you're straight or gay. Just not if you're bi or pansexual, and let's be blunt, pansexual is bi for lunatics. The people who say I'm attracted to all genders. Well, come and meet our friend Casper, he's got 3 of them. That one was hard work. If you made it to the end of the video, well done. As ever, thanks for watching.